What's up, you sweaty nerds and greasy degenerates? Lynx Landau comes to Honkai Star Rail in Part 2 of Patch 1.3, which is shortly after Dan Heng's release, which is only a little over a week from now. So, I thought it would be interesting to talk about whether Lynx is worth pulling for or not, because some people might be still wondering if they're pulling for Dan, whether they're skipping, or what the heck they're going to end up pulling for. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, because Lynx Landau looks like a really solid character, despite her only being a 4-star character. Alrighty then, now Lynx is a 4-star character, and I do believe that Lynx is going to end up being one of the best 4-star characters in the game, at least for right now, up there with characters like Ting Yun and Natasha. Now Natasha has a lot of value because Natasha is a healer, and Lynx is also a healer, and it is my prediction, as well as a lot of other people's prediction, that Lynx will be outperforming Natasha and might even outperform Bailu. Of course, we'll have to wait till Lynx actually arrives in the game, but her kit seems absolutely amazing. So let's go ahead and go into her kit so you can understand what I'm talking about there. Her skill restores HP to a single ally, similar to Natasha's, but there's more to it. It also gives that ally survival response, which boosts the target's max HP, and if they are on the path of destruction or preservation, the likelihood of them being attacked is increased. So, this sounds to me like it increases their taunt value. And you want your destruction path character to get hit because that's usually how they get buffs, like Blade. Blade wants to take a little bit of damage so that he can get a buff. And your tank, you want your tank getting hit because you want your enemies attacking the tank rather than your other characters most of the time. And this is a way to increase the taunt value, but also increase their survivability at the same time. And there's a heal attached to it as well. Now, it should be noted this isn't guaranteed, of course. Just because you increase their taunt value doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but it is more likely that they will get hit. And I consider this to be very powerful. You want to put this on your Blade. You want to put this on, you know, like your Japard or your Fushuan or your Fire MC, so that they're getting hit rather than the rest of your team. Now let's go ahead and talk about her ultimate. Lynx's ultimate heals the entire team through a team-wide AoE, very similar to Natasha's, but there's a lot more to it. It also cleanses the entire team. What that means is, if your team, anyone on your team, has a debuff on them, such as like they have a DOT on them, or a damage reduction, or they've been hit by a certain enemy ability that causes a certain effect, your Lynx will be able to cleanse the entire team at the same time. It only takes away one debuff. So if you have several DOTs on a character, just be aware it's only taking away one of them, and it's probably the first one in that line that you have. But this is incredibly powerful. Your entire team sometimes gets DOTs fighting certain enemies. It will just take them all away. That's incredible. And I can't stress enough how powerful that actually is. This is one of the reasons why I think that she's going to outperform characters like Bailu, because an entire full team-wide cleanse is absolutely crazy. I also wanted to point out before we go any further that Lynx has combat animations that are probably the coolest and the most goofy and the most adorable and cute in the entire game. She has that like giant pill that she pulls out of her backpack, which is like bigger than not only her backpack, but it's even bigger than her, and it's absolutely ridiculous and hilarious when she uses her ultimate. And her talent is super cute. She pulls out that little like can of fish. It smells probably terrible, but it's just funny to me. I love Lynx's animations. They're probably my favorite in the whole game. Now moving forward to more important stuff, Lynx's talent is incredibly powerful. It reminds me of Locha, and by the way, Lynx was nerfed, just so you guys know, but that's not a bad thing, because Lynx was nerfed because she was probably competing with Locha, who's a 5-star, and they just didn't like the idea of a 4-star being as good as a 5-star. So let's go ahead and talk about her talent. It can grant a healing effect to targets affected by her skill and her ultimate for several turns. So this is very powerful because it gives whichever whichever one of your allies has been affected by the skill or the ultimate, it gives them even more healing. Which sounds to me like, we don't know how it's fully going to work yet, but it sounds to me like every single time you start your turn, it gives them a heal. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. It doesn't mention it affecting on attack like with Locha. It's going to operate a little bit differently, but it seems like it's potentially going to be team-wide depending on when it's used and how it's activated. It also gives HP to characters affected by her skill. And because of the wording that they used when giving us these descriptions, it sounds to me like it's going to double up the effect on any of your characters that have the skill activated. Because it says it grants healing effect to enemies, or sorry, your allies affected by the skill or ultimate, but it also says that it gives another HP buff to characters affected by her skill. So it sounds like it might double up on the characters that have been affected by the skill, which sounds incredibly powerful. I just wanted to point that out. And her technique has a similar effect, and I'll get into that. So her technique also gives a healing effect to the entire team, and her healing effect seems very strong, and it is expected to, like I said, outperform Bailu and Natasha because of this. And what I think is going to happen is, with her technique, it's going to act very similarly to her talent, but it doesn't have an activation that's required. You're just going to enter battle with that healing effect already going, as if you had used the ultimate on the entire team. So they're just going to enter battle with a healing effect already on them, and we don't exactly know how long the turns are going to last for at this time. But I imagine that leveling her talents will more than likely increase the amount of turns that it lasts for, similar to other characters. So that's pretty much the gist of her combat abilities at this time. I should go ahead and say that we should probably wait until day 1 to actually find out if this character is as good as we do think that she is or not. So if you're uncertain about the character, wait until after day 1 so we can do some in real life testing with the character. However, I can't stress enough how strong this character looks at this time. If you don't have a second healer for your second team, this is the perfect opportunity for you to pick up a healer. And not only that, she just so happens to be on the same banner as Fu Xuan. So the survivability value in part 2 of 1.3's patch is insane. This is a very easy no-brainer. You should probably pull on this if you need a second healer moment, okay? If this video was entertaining to you in any way, shape, or form, please leave a like and subscribe, because if you don't subscribe, I'm gonna come to your house in the middle of the night like the boogeyman, and I'm gonna steal your favorite midnight snacks. Probably those Oreos, or maybe those Pringles you got in the pantry. Maybe the lasagna you got there in the refrigerator. I'm not picky. I'll come for whatever you got. So like and subscribe for more.